It was a quiet Tuesday evening in Chicago. The sun had begun its slow descent, painting the sky with streaks of orange and purple. People were going about their usual routines, some heading home from work, others grabbing groceries or walking. Their dogs. Kids played on sidewalks, laughing as they chased each other around lampposts. Streetlights flickered to life one by one, casting soft yellow glows onto empty roads. Everything seemed normal. But then, something extraordinary happened. At first, it was just a faint hum, almost imperceptible, like the distant buzz of an insect. No one paid much attention at first, but within seconds the sound grew louder, deafening even. It wasn't like thunder rolling across the sky or the roar of an airplane passing overhead. This noise was different. It felt alive, vibrating through every surface, rattling windows and shaking the ground beneath people's feet. The crowd outside froze. Cars came to abrupt stops in the middle of intersections. Pedestrians halted mid-step, looking up toward the heavens. And that's when they saw it. The sky itself began to change. A jagged line appeared high above, glowing bright white, against the darkening backdrop. For a moment it looked like lightning splitting the clouds, but this wasn't natural. The crack widened, spreading outward until it formed a massive tear in the fabric of the atmosphere. Through this gash, stars shone brighter than anyone had ever seen them before, as if someone had peeled back a veil hiding the universe's secrets. Then came the ships. They emerged slowly at first, their shapes looming larger with each passing second. These weren't small spacecraft or sleek flying saucers like the ones you'd see in movies. These were colossal structures, towering monoliths made of gleaming metal and pulsating lights. They stretched so far into the sky that they seemed endless, dwarfing skyscrapers and making airplanes look like toys. Each ship was shaped like an arrowhead, sharp and menacing, yet strangely beautiful. Their surfaces shimmered with colors that didn't exist on Earth, shades of electric blue, fiery red and golden hues that shifted and danced under the starlight. People dropped to their knees, staring upward in awe and terror. Some screamed, while others whispered prayers, clutching loved ones close. Cell phones flashed as everyone tried to capture the impossible sight unfolding before their eyes. Social media exploded almost instantly, with videos flooding platforms, faster than servers could handle. Hashtags like aliens arrive and Nars star destroyers trended globally within minutes. Yet no amount of preparation could have readied humanity for what happened next. Instead of descending with weapons blazing or issuing demands for surrender, the aliens aboard these ships acted terrified. Their voices crackled over global frequencies, transmitted simultaneously in dozens of languages. "We didn't know," they repeated frantically. This wasn't supposed to happen. The tone of their words carried unmistakable fear, bordering on panic. Confusion rippled through the crowds below. Why would advanced beings capable of traveling across galaxies react with such alarm? What exactly had startled them? Questions swirled in everyone's minds, but answers remained elusive. One thing became clear, though. Earth wasn't the only planet watching the spectacle unfold. News outlets reported sightings of similar phenomena worldwide, from Tokyo to London, Sydney to Rio de Janeiro. Every continent witnessed the same surreal event. The alien ships hovered silently above major cities, casting long shadows over streets filled with stunned onlookers. Despite their size and apparent power, the ships didn't attack or attempt any form of communication beyond their initial panicked messages. As hours passed, theories spread like wildfire. Some believed the aliens had accidentally stumbled upon Earth, mistaking it for an uninhabited world. Others speculated that humanity possessed some hidden trait or technology, unknown even to ourselves, something so formidable that it instilled dread in extraterrestrial civilizations. Conspiracy theorists claimed governments had known about the impending invasion all along, pointing fingers at shadowy organizations and secret experiments. Amidst the chaos, ordinary lives continued in fragments. Families huddled together indoors, unsure whether to stay put or flee. Emergency hotlines lit up with calls from frightened citizens seeking guidance. Religious leaders called for calm, urging people to pray and trust in divine protection. Meanwhile, scientists scrambled to analyze data, hoping to decipher the nature of the alien vessels and understand their intentions. Yet despite the fear gripping the globe, there was also a strange sense of wonder. For centuries, humanity had dreamed of encountering intelligent life beyond Earth. Now faced with undeniable proof of its existence, emotions ran the gamut from terror to exhilaration. Children pressed their faces against windows, marveling at the glowing behemoths floating above their neighborhoods. Adults exchanged wide-eyed glances, unable to fully process the magnitude of what they were witnessing. Little did anyone realize, however, that this encounter would reveal far more than just the presence of alien life. Hidden beneath the surface of everyday struggles lay untapped reservoirs of strength and resilience unique to humanity. These qualities would soon become evident, not only to the terrified aliens hovering above, but also to the people themselves. Back in Chicago, as the night wore on, a young man named Marcus Johnson found himself caught in the midst of events that would alter his life forever. Like countless others, he stood outside his apartment building, gazing upward at the star destroyers dominating the skyline. He couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was about to occur, not just for him personally, but for the entire human race. And he was right. While the world stood frozen beneath the alien star destroyers, life for Marcus Johnson was about to take a darker turn. Just a few miles away from downtown Chicago, where crowds gathered to gawk at the glowing ships in the sky, Marcus walked, home alone after basketball practice. His hoodie was pulled tight over his head, shielding him from the cool evening breeze. He clutched his backpack close, its weight pressing against his shoulder as he navigated the familiar streets of his neighborhood. Marcus lived in a predominantly black community, a place rich with culture and warmth, but also burdened by systemic neglect. Crumbling sidewalks lined the roads, and streetlights flickered like dying fireflies. Police cars were a common sight here, their presence often unwelcome. Officers cruised slowly through the area, searching for trouble where none existed. To them, young black men like Marcus were suspects first and human beings second. That night, as Marcus turned onto his block, 2 squad cars suddenly pulled up beside him. Their headlights blinded him momentarily, forcing him to squint against the glare. Out stepped Officer Daniels and his partner, both white men whose reputations preceded them. They were known for their aggressive tactics and blatant disregard for fairness. Neighbors whispered about them behind closed doors, warning each other to stay out of their way. Daniels approached Marcus with an air of authority, his hand resting casually on the holster of his gun. "Hold it right there," he barked, his voice sharp and commanding. Marcus froze, his heart pounding in his chest. "What's going on?" Marcus asked cautiously, his tone polite despite the knot of fear tightening in his stomach. "We got a report about a stolen bike," Daniels replied, narrowing his eyes. "You match the description." Marcus blinked in disbelief. "A bike? I don't even own one." His protest fell on deaf ears. Daniels grabbed him roughly by the arm and shoved him against the hood of the squad car. The cold metal bit into Marcus's skin as he struggled to keep his balance. Pain shot through his wrist as handcuffs clicked into place, cutting off circulation. "This is ridiculous," Marcus shouted, his voice trembling with frustration. "I didn't do anything wrong." But Daniels wasn't listening. Instead, he leaned in closer, sneering down at Marcus. "Save it, kid. We've seen your type before. Always claiming innocence when you're caught red-handed." The words stung more than the physical restraint. Marcus felt a wave of helplessness wash over him. This wasn't the first time he'd been targeted unfairly because of the color of his skin, but it never got easier. Each encounter chipped away at his dignity, leaving scars that ran deeper than any bruise or scrape. Neighbors began to peek out of windows and doorways, drawn by the commotion. Some watched silently, afraid to intervene. Others whispered amongst themselves, shaking their heads in disapproval. Everyone knew how these situations usually ended, with the police getting away with whatever they wanted. Justice rarely came knocking in this part of town. Just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, a new figure appeared on the scene. Mr. Thompson, the owner of the local convenience store, emerged from around the corner. He was a middle-aged, Man with graying hair and a kind face that always seemed to carry a hint of sadness. Known for his quiet demeanor and unassuming presence, no one expected him to step forward. Yet as Daniels mocked Marcus with racial slurs, something inside. Mr. Thompson snapped. "Is there a problem here?" Mr. Thompson asked calmly, stepping closer to the group. His voice carried authority despite its softness, catching everyone off guard. Daniels turned to face him, irritation flashing in his eyes. "This doesn't concern you, old man. Mind your own business." But Mr. Thompson didn't back down. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. On its screen was live footage of the alien star destroyers hovering above the city. The massive ships loomed ominously, casting eerie shadows over the streets below. "You might want to rethink your priorities," Mr. Thompson said, showing the officers the surreal sight, "because right now the whole world is watching." For a moment, Daniels hesitated. Confusion clouded his features as he glanced between Marcus and the glowing screen. His partner shifted uncomfortably, clearly unsure of what to do next. Seizing the opportunity, Marcus wriggled free from Daniels' grip. Though still cuffed, he managed to put some distance between himself and the officers. His breathing came in ragged gasps, adrenaline coursing through his veins. Meanwhile, Mr. Thompson continued recording everything: their aggression, their racism, their blatant abuse of power. He captured every word, every movement, ensuring nothing would be left to interpretation later. As the seconds ticked by, tension crackled in the air like static electricity. Then, without warning, one of the star destroyers descended slowly toward the area. Its shadow engulfed the street, plunging everyone into darkness except for the faint glow emanating from its underbelly. A beam of light shot down, illuminating the group. The alien's booming voice echoed through the air, addressing the humans below. To everyone's shock, they weren't speaking to the officers. They addressed Marcus directly. Through advanced translation software, they apologized profusely, explaining that Earth's sudden appearance in their galactic records had caused widespread panic among their species. "We underestimated you," the alien voice declared. "Your resilience, your unity, they are qualities we admire deeply." Marcus stared upward, speechless. For the first time in his life, someone, something, had acknowledged his worth. Not as a suspect or a stereotype, but as a human being deserving of respect. Officer Daniels and his partner exchanged panicked glances, realizing too late that their actions had been exposed not only to the world, but also to beings far more powerful than themselves. As the aliens continued to communicate, it became clear that humanity's potential for courage and compassion made them uniquely formidable and deeply feared. In that moment, Marcus understood something profound. This encounter wasn't just about him. It was about all the people who had ever been treated unjustly because of their race, gender, or background. It was about standing up against oppression and refusing to let fear dictate your life. And as the aliens promised to assist humanity in forging a better future, Marcus felt a spark of hope ignite within him. Maybe, just maybe, this bizarre twist of fate could lead to real change, not just for him, but for everyone. Little did he know, the events of this night were only the beginning of a journey that would redefine justice, bravery, and the very essence of what it meant to be human. The beam of light from the alien star destroyer bathed the street in an otherworldly glow, freezing everyone in place. Officer Daniels and his partner stood frozen, their faces pale with shock as they stared upward at the massive ship looming above them. The alien's booming voice echoed through the air again, this time addressing Marcus directly. "Young human," the translated voice said, its tone calm but firm. "We sense great strength within you. Tell us, what is your name?" Marcus hesitated, unsure whether he was dreaming or awake. He glanced around nervously before answering. Marcus. Marcus Johnson." "Marcus Johnson," the alien repeated, as if committing the name to memory. "We have observed your courage tonight. You face oppression yet stand tall. Such qualities are rare among civilizations we've encountered." Daniels shifted uncomfortably, his earlier bravado crumbling under the weight of the situation. His partner muttered something under his breath, but neither dared to move. They were trapped. not by physical restraints, but by the sheer magnitude of what was happening. Mr. Thompson stepped forward once more, holding up his phone so the camera captured everything clearly. "If I may," he said aloud, addressing both the officers and the aliens. "This young man has done nothing wrong. These officers have treated him unjustly because of the color of his skin. If you're truly interested in understanding humanity, start here, with our flaws and how some of us fight against them." The aliens paused, processing Mr. Thompson's words. Then, another voice joined the conversation, a different alien, softer and more analytical. "We see now. Humanity is complex, filled with contradictions. Some among you seek to dominate others based on arbitrary differences, while others resist such behavior. It is fascinating." Daniels opened his mouth to protest, but no sound came out. The aliens had immobilized him and his partner subtly, using some form of energy field that rendered them unable to speak or act further. Their expressions shifted from anger to panic as they realized they were completely powerless. Meanwhile, Marcus felt a strange mix of emotions swirling inside him: relief, disbelief, and even pride. For years he'd been told, either explicitly or implicitly, that his life didn't matter, that he was less than others simply because of the melanin in his skin. But now beings from another galaxy were acknowledging his worth. Not just acknowledging it, they were admiring it. The lead alien continued, its voice carrying a note of authority. "Humans possess immense potential for unity and resilience. Yet we also perceive fractures within your society. Systems of oppression weaken you collectively. Is this why you struggle to reach beyond your planet?" It wasn't really a question. It was an observation meant to provoke thought. Marcus looked at Mr. Thompson, who nodded encouragingly. Taking a deep breath, Marcus spoke up. "Yes, sir. Or ma'am, I mean." He trailed off, unsure how to address the alien properly. "You're right. There are people like these officers who think they're better than others because of things like race. But there are also good people who try to make things better. Like Mr. Thompson here. He stood up for me when no one else would." The aliens seemed intrigued by this response. "And do you believe change is possible? Can your kind overcome these divisions?" Marcus hesitated for only a moment before nodding firmly. "Yeah, I think so. It won't be easy, but yeah, I believe we can. We've come a long way already, even though there's still a lot of work to do." The aliens exchanged sounds, perhaps communication between themselves that humans couldn't decipher. After a brief silence, the lead alien spoke again. "Very well. We will assist you in this endeavor. Your species shows promise, despite its imperfections. Let this incident serve as a catalyst for transformation." With that, the beam of light intensified, enveloping Daniels and his partner. The two officers disappeared in an instant, teleported aboard the Star Destroyer. Gasps erupted from the small crowd of neighbors who had gathered nearby, watching the surreal scene unfold. "What happened to them?" someone whispered. "They'll be held accountable," Mr. Thompson replied confidently. Though he didn't know exactly what the aliens planned to do with the officers, he trusted that justice would finally prevail. As the Star Destroyer began to ascend back into the sky, the aliens broadcast a message globally. Using advanced technology, they transmitted live footage of the entire encounter, the officers' aggression, Marcus's mistreatment, and Mr. Thompson's intervention, to every corner of Earth. Within moments, social media platforms exploded with reactions. Hashtags like Josher Justice for Marcus and Josh Alien Witness trended worldwide. News anchors scrambled to cover the story, analyzing every detail. Protests erupted almost immediately. In cities across the globe, people took to the streets, demanding accountability not just for Daniels and his partner, but for all instances of racial injustice. The video provided undeniable proof of systemic racism, sparking outrage and calls for reform. Politicians were forced to respond, promising investigations and policy changes. For once, those in power couldn't ignore the cries for change. Back on the ground, Marcus and Mr. Thompson found themselves at the center of attention. Reporters swarmed the area, shoving microphones in their faces and firing questions rapidly. "How does it feel to be supported by aliens?" one reporter asked Marcus. "I don't know what to say," Marcus admitted, shaking his head. "I'm just glad someone finally listened." Mr. Thompson chimed in, his voice steady and measured. "This isn't about aliens or spaceships. It's about doing what's right. Racism doesn't belong anywhere. Not on Earth, not in space, not anywhere." By morning, Marcus's face was plastered across newspapers and TV screens worldwide. Social media users hailed him as a symbol of hope and resistance. Messages of support poured in from strangers, urging him to keep fighting for justice. Meanwhile, Mr. Thompson became an unexpected hero, celebrated for his bravery and quick thinking, but fame wasn't what either of them wanted. As the initial excitement died down, Marcus returned home, exhausted but determined. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at his reflection in the mirror. Who was he now? Just yesterday, he'd been an ordinary teenager trying to survive high school. Today, he was a global figure, representing millions of voices silenced by prejudice. Mr. Thompson visited him later that day, bringing snacks and a reassuring smile. "You okay, son?" he asked gently. "I guess," Marcus replied, shrugging. "It's just a lot to process, you know." Mr. Thompson nodded. "Yeah, I get it. But remember this, you didn't ask for any of this. It happened because you refused to stay silent. That takes guts. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Marcus managed a small smile. "Thanks, Mr. T. I don't know what I'd have done without you." "You'd have done fine," Mr. Thompson assured him. "But hey, teamwork makes the dream work, right?" They shared a laugh, breaking the tension momentarily. As they talked, Marcus realized something important. This wasn't the end of his journey. It was just the beginning. With the world watching, he had an opportunity to make real change happen. And he wasn't going to waste it. Little did he know, the aliens weren't done with Earth yet. Their presence had ignited a spark that would spread far beyond Chicago, inspiring movements and conversations that transcended borders. Humanity was about to embark on a new chapter, one defined not by fear or division, but by courage and unity, and Marcus Johnson, along with Mr. Thompson, would play a pivotal role in shaping that future. The days following the alien encounter felt surreal, as though the world had been plunged into a strange dream. For Marcus Johnson and Mr. Thompson, life changed overnight in ways they could never have imagined. What began as an ordinary evening turned into a global spectacle that exposed deep-rooted injustices and sparked widespread outrage. The video of Daniels's abuse of power went viral within hours, igniting protests not just in Chicago but across continents. Cities around the globe erupted in demonstrations, demanding accountability for systemic racism and police brutality. Officer Daniels and his partner were now aboard one of the Star Destroyers, their fates unknown to the public. The aliens hadn't publicly announced what punishment, if any, they intended to impose on the officers. But the mere fact that these men were being held accountable by extraterrestrial beings sent a powerful message. It wasn't just about Daniels and his partner anymore. It was symbolic of the larger fight against oppression. People everywhere saw this moment as proof that justice could prevail, even if it came from unexpected sources. Back on Earth, Daniels's faces became infamous symbols of unchecked authority. News outlets dissected their actions frame by frame, exposing years of misconduct buried in police reports. Former victims came forward, sharing stories eerily similar to Marcus's. Each account added fuel to the growing fire of protest. Politicians who had long ignored calls for reform suddenly scrambled to address the issue, introducing new legislation aimed at holding law enforcement accountable. Some even proposed forming international oversight committees, citing the aliens' intervention as evidence that humanity couldn't handle its own problems alone. For Marcus, fame brought both opportunities and challenges. Reporters camped outside his apartment building, eager to interview the boy who stood up to racism and won. Social media flooded with messages of support, but also criticism from those who doubted his intentions or accused him of seeking attention. Despite the noise, Marcus remained grounded, focusing on the bigger picture. He knew this was about more than just him. It was about every person who had ever been mistreated because of their race, gender, or background. One afternoon, while sitting in his living room with Mr. Thompson, Marcus watched a live broadcast featuring representatives from various countries. They gathered at the United Nations headquarters in New York City, where leaders attempted to communicate directly with the aliens. Through advanced translation software, the extraterrestrials addressed humanity once again, emphasizing their admiration for traits like resilience, creativity, and unity. However, they also warned that divisions within human society, such as racism and inequality, would hinder progress unless addressed. "They're right," Marcus murmured, leaning back on the couch. "We can't keep pretending everything's okay when it's not." Mr. Thompson nodded thoughtfully. "People are finally listening, though. This is our chance to push for real change." Inspired by the conversation, Marcus decided to take action. With Mr. Thompson's help, he organized a community meeting at the local recreation center. Flyers were distributed throughout the neighborhood, inviting residents to come together and discuss how they could contribute to the movement. On the night of the event, dozens of people showed up, young and old, black and white, rich and poor, all united by a shared desire to make things better. As Marcus stood at the front of the room, microphone in hand, he felt nervous but determined. "I didn't plan for any of this to happen," he began, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "But I've realized something important. We all have a role to play in creating a fairer world. Whether it's standing up when you see injustice or supporting others who do, every little bit counts." His words resonated deeply with the crowd. One woman raised her hand and spoke passionately about starting a mentorship program for at-risk youth. A man suggested organizing weekly marches to keep the momentum going. Others chimed in with ideas ranging from art projects to educational workshops. By the end of the meeting, everyone left with a sense of purpose, a commitment to work toward lasting change. Meanwhile, the aliens continued to observe Earth from above, occasionally intervening in other incidents of injustice. Their presence acted as a deterrent, forcing authorities worldwide to reconsider their actions. In some cases, governments voluntarily handed over corrupt officials to the aliens, hoping to avoid further scrutiny. While many humans questioned whether relying on extraterrestrial intervention was sustainable, few could deny the immediate impact it had on holding abusers accountable. Days turned into weeks, and the initial frenzy began to settle. Protests dwindled in size but persisted, evolving into structured movements focused on education and policy reform. Schools incorporated lessons about racial equality and social justice into their curriculums. Corporations pledged millions to fund initiatives aimed at closing economic disparities. Even Hollywood got involved, producing films and documentaries highlighting untold stories of marginalized communities. Amidst all this, Marcus found himself invited to speak at rallies and conferences nationwide. At first, he hesitated, unsure if he was qualified to lead such efforts. But Mr. Thompson reminded him that leadership wasn't about titles. It was about inspiring others to act. Slowly, Marcus grew more comfortable taking center stage, using his platform to amplify voices often overlooked. One particularly memorable speech took place during a rally in Washington, D.C., attended by thousands. Standing on a makeshift stage, beneath a massive screen displaying images of the Star Destroyers, Marcus delivered a message that moved the entire crowd to tears. "We've spent too long waiting for someone else to fix our problems," he declared, his voice ringing out clearly. "But today we stand here knowing that change starts with us. We don't need aliens to tell us what's wrong, we already know. And we don't need them to save us. We can save ourselves. Together we'll build a future where no kid has to grow up afraid of being treated unfairly because of who they are." When he finished speaking, the audience erupted in applause, chanting his name over and over. Cameras flashed, capturing the historic moment. For Marcus, it was validation, not of his importance but of the collective strength of humanity. He wasn't alone in this fight. Millions stood beside him, ready to carry the torch forward. By the time winter arrived, significant progress had been made. Police departments implemented stricter regulations and transparency measures. Community policing programs flourished, fostering trust between officers and civilians. Educational campaigns challenged stereotypes and promoted empathy. Though challenges remained, the shift in mindset was undeniable. Yet, Marcus understood that true justice required patience and perseverance. As he walked through his neighborhood one chilly December evening, he reflected on how far they'd come and how much farther they still had to go. The sight of children playing freely in the streets filled him with hope. These kids deserved a world free of fear, hatred, and division. And thanks to the courage of ordinary people standing up against injustice, that vision seemed closer than ever before. Little did Marcus realize, however, that the aliens weren't done teaching humanity valuable lessons. Their next move would test the limits of cooperation and understanding, pushing Earth to embrace its full potential as a united species. But for now, Marcus allowed himself a rare moment of peace, knowing that he and countless others had taken the first steps toward a brighter tomorrow. As winter gave way to spring, Earth entered a new chapter of its history. The alien star destroyers still lingered above major cities, their presence both awe-inspiring and humbling. For months, humanity had wrestled with the implications of their arrival, grappling with questions about identity, unity, and purpose. While fear of the unknown persisted, most people began to see the aliens not as invaders, but as catalysts for change. Their interventions had exposed flaws within human society while simultaneously offering tools to address them. Marcus Johnson found himself at the heart of this transformation. From being an ordinary teenager walking home after basketball practice, he had become a symbol of hope and resilience. His name appeared in headlines alongside global leaders, activists, and innovators. Yet despite his newfound fame, Marcus remained grounded. He understood that real progress wasn't achieved through speeches or hashtags. It required consistent effort and collaboration. One crisp morning in April, Marcus received an invitation that would alter his life once again. A holographic message projected into his living room emanating from one of the star destroyers. The alien voice was calm yet authoritative, speaking directly to him. Marcus Johnson, we wish to meet you aboard our vessel. Your courage inspires us, and your actions have demonstrated qualities we value deeply. At first, Marcus hesitated. The thought of boarding an alien spaceship filled him with equal parts excitement and trepidation. But Mr. Thompson encouraged him to accept the invitation. This is bigger than just you, he said firmly. They're reaching out because they see something special in humanity, and in you specifically. You owe it to everyone who's counting on you to go. With a deep breath, Marcus agreed. Within hours, a beam of light descended from the sky, enveloping him and transporting him aboard the star destroyer. When the light faded, Marcus found himself standing in a vast chamber illuminated by soft, pulsating glows. The walls shimmered with colors unlike anything he'd ever seen, shifting and dancing like liquid rainbows. Before him stood several alien figures, towering and slender, their elongated limbs and iridescent skin giving them an otherworldly appearance. Welcome, Marcus, one of the aliens greeted him, its voice translated seamlessly into English. We are honored to host you today. Marcus nodded nervously, unsure how to respond. The alien gestured for him to follow, leading him deeper into the ship. They passed through corridors lined with glowing panels displaying intricate patterns. Maps of stars, galaxies, and planets. Marcus marveled at the scale of it all, realizing just how small Earth was compared to the vastness of the universe. Eventually, they arrived at a large observation deck. Through a transparent wall, Marcus could see Earth suspended in space, a blue-green jewel surrounded by infinite darkness. It was breathtakingly beautiful yet fragile looking against the enormity of the cosmos. Beside him, another alien spoke. Your planet holds immense potential, Marcus. Despite its challenges, humanity possesses unique strengths, qualities that set you apart from other civilizations we've encountered. What kind of strengths? Marcus asked curiously. Empathy, creativity, adaptability, the alien replied. You find meaning in art, music, and storytelling. You innovate under pressure, solving problems others deem impossible. And perhaps most importantly, you dream of unity, even when divisions threaten to tear you apart. Marcus felt a surge of pride mixed with humility. These were traits he'd never considered extraordinary before. They were simply part of being human, yet hearing them praised by beings so advanced made him appreciate them in a new light. The aliens then revealed their true intentions for visiting Earth. We did not come here to conquer or exploit, one explained. Our mission is diplomatic, to forge alliances with species capable of contributing positively to the galaxy. However, we underestimated humanity. We assumed your conflicts and imperfections rendered you unworthy of partnership. Watching you confront injustice has shown us otherwise. They went on to explain that Earth's sudden emergence in galactic records had been caused by a cosmic anomaly, one that amplified humanity's collective energy across dimensions. This energy caught the aliens' attention, drawing them to investigate. What they discovered astonished them. A species teetering between chaos and harmony, capable of either destroying itself or thriving beyond imagination. We believe in your ability to choose the latter, the lead alien concluded. But we cannot guide you indefinitely. Our role is to provide resources and knowledge, not answers. The future of your planet rests in your hands. To demonstrate their commitment, the aliens gifted humanity advanced technology designed to accelerate scientific and societal progress. Renewable energy sources, medical breakthroughs, and educational systems tailored to foster empathy and cooperation were among the offerings. In return, they requested only one thing: that humanity continue striving toward unity, ensuring no individual or group was left behind. When Marcus returned to Earth, he carried not just memories of the experience, but also tangible gifts from the aliens. Among these was a device capable of translating any language instantly, a tool intended to bridge communication gaps worldwide. News of his journey spread rapidly, solidifying his status as a global figure. People looked to him not just as a victim of injustice turned advocate, but as someone chosen by extraterrestrial beings to represent humanity's best qualities. Inspired by the encounter, Marcus decided to dedicate his life to fostering understanding and cooperation. Alongside Mr. Thompson, he founded an organization called Unity Beyond Borders, aimed at promoting inclusivity and dismantling systemic barriers. The initiative quickly gained traction, attracting volunteers, donors, and partners from diverse backgrounds. Together, they worked tirelessly to implement programs addressing issues like poverty, education inequality, and climate change. Meanwhile, the aliens gradually reduced their direct involvement in human affairs. Their star destroyers began ascending higher into orbit, eventually disappearing altogether. Yet their influence lingered. The technologies they shared sparked revolutions in medicine, agriculture, and renewable energy. Global efforts to combat climate change accelerated, driven by innovations that seemed almost magical. Even nations previously locked in conflict found common ground, recognizing the futility of war in a universe where cooperation was key to survival. For Marcus, the departure of the aliens marked both an ending and a beginning. On one hand, he missed the sense of wonder and connection he'd felt aboard their ship. On the other, he embraced the responsibility of carrying forward the lessons they'd imparted. He often reminded himself and others that humanity's greatest strength lay not in weapons or wealth, but in compassion and solidarity. Years later, as Marcus stood on stage accepting an International Peace Award, he reflected on how far the world had come since that fateful night beneath the Star Destroyers. Racism, though not eradicated, had diminished significantly thanks to sustained activism and policy reform. Police forces operated with greater transparency and accountability. Communities thrived, united by shared goals rather than divided by differences. Looking out at the audience, Marcus smiled. "We didn't need aliens to tell us what needed fixing," he said, his voice resonating with conviction. "What we needed was the courage to face our flaws and the determination to fix them." Today I stand here proud, not because we've reached perfection, but because we've taken steps toward becoming the best version of ourselves. Applause erupted, echoing throughout the auditorium. As Marcus stepped off stage, he felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The journey had been long and challenging, but every struggle had been worth it. Humanity had proven itself capable of greatness, not because of external forces, but because of its innate capacity for growth and love. And somewhere, high above the stars, the aliens watched silently, satisfied that they had chosen wisely. Earth might have started as an unexpected discovery, but it had grown into something remarkable, a beacon of hope in the galaxy, shining brightly for all to see.